What's up, everyone out there? Welcome back to the channel. Chillcast is here, and I'm pleased to present that we have a guest on the channel. We're going to be going over a hot topic. Without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce our guest today. He needs no introduction in the realm of retro game collecting, but I'll go and introduce him to you guys. Today we have none other than War Train Wins, aka Jeremy. What's up, buddy? Thank you for coming over and hanging out with us to talk over this hot topic. But yeah, if you want to kind of introduce yourself.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Jeremy from War Train Wins. Matt, just want to say thanks for having me on, man. Really appreciate it. And,
Absolutely, man. I'm really know that you're a busy guy, so I was really pleased to hear that you would make some time on your roster after that new promotion opportunity you got, man. It's just been nose to the grindstone for a while there. I've been waiting for those notifications to pop up, but ladies and gents, if you haven't done so, hop on over to his channel, show him some love, subscribe to his channel, and we're going to be going over a really hot topic today. Like I said, we're going to be going over the topic of retro game collecting addiction. This is kind of like I said, a hot topic. It's kind of surged over our community. Everybody's living comfortably in their ways, you know, hoarding everything that they possibly can, and then all of a sudden, you know, this word addiction comes out, and just all of a sudden it's on all over my news feed, all over my Insta, all over everything. But yeah, today we're going to be going over this hot topic, and today we got 3 topics to touch on. We have cost and money, we have family and time, and then at the end we're going to be summarizing with good collecting habits versus bad collecting habits. But yeah, let's go ahead and start off with the very definition of the term addiction. This source is coming from www.nhs.uk. Live well. Their simplified version of the definition states, addiction is defined as not having control over doing, taking, or using something to the point where it could be harmful to you. Emphasizing the last bit, to the point that it could be harmful to you. That could be, you know, financially harmful. That could be personally or physically harmful to you. But yeah, what's your opinion on the current state of things and the term addiction being thrown around dilly-dilly for the retro game collection community?
Yeah, it's been a hot topic, that's for sure. And I've been hearing the same thing. It's on all my news feeds and stuff on YouTube. And, you know, I kind of understand. It's like, if you have an addiction problem, I mean, you know, maybe you should cool it a little bit, you know, but it's probably addictive buying games and stuff. I mean, it's fun though, you know, just like anything else, you got to do it in moderation. I mean, obviously we have larger collections and been doing it for a while, but this stuff didn't just appear overnight.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff about hoarding and everything. You know, I see that as a little bit different. I know years ago my brother came to my house, and my girl was like, "Yeah, look, he's hoards video games," and my brother's like, "Are you kidding?" He's like, "This is awesome." He's like, "Everything's so neat and clean, and it's like organized." You know, that's kind of I see that as a difference. You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Always, you know, never held on to stuff. I had pretty much everything was empty, you know, but at a certain point in my life, I just got bored of like selling all my stuff and not really realizing I look around, I just didn't have nothing. So I figured it was time for me to, like, you know, find a hobby something I liked, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. And on the term of hoarding and things of that nature, quick disclaimer, if you do have a problem, please seek help. This isn't in any way to emulate anybody's negative connotation of addiction. Addiction is very real. So if you do have these addictive traits, please seek help and just take this as a grain of salt. This is just 2 guys' opinion. I'm sure you'll let us know if we're wrong in the comments below. But we'll go and continue on with this, and I completely agree with you. There definitely is a fine line between, you know, hoarding and collecting. We try to utilize our space to the best of our ability, and we work really hard to create a room that we can, you know, space is, as I've grown in my collecting over the years, a commodity. If you don't have space, you don't really have a collection because you don't have any room to have a collection. But yeah, the term hoarding has definitely been thrown around within the individuals that come over and checked out, my collection and things of that nature. But definitely a fine line between the two. The first topic that we kind of wanted to touch on today is one of the most talked about, which is cost and money, right? It does cost a lot of money. This can be a very expensive or inexpensive, depending on your taste and what you would like to particularly collect on. If you're trying to get into original Xbox, there's tons of games that you can get for under $10 each. Whereas if you try to get into the older Sega collection, being a Sega guy, how expensive those can get because of their scarcity and things of that nature. But yeah, cost and money. What is your opinion on the cost and money aspect of being a collector? What is your experience? And we also wanted to go through an exercise because from my perspective, whenever people talk about how expensive it can be to have this hobby, I look at my collection and actually look at it as an investment opportunity because I keep track of everything that I got, where you probably do as well. And
Absolutely.
over the course of time, I stand to gain a huge chunk of coin by, purchasing it. So I think it's unfair for people to say, it's a very expensive hobby to the point that you're not getting a positive return on your investment. So what has been your experiences with the cost of money aspect of this hobby that we have?
Yeah, I've noticed over the years, if you want to buy older games, depending on what you're getting, like you said, Xbox 360, some PlayStation 3, Wii, like there's certain systems that you can get a ton of games for pretty cheap. I mean, like going to thrift stores and stuff or yard sales, like you can just get stacks of games. It's almost too much, But
Yep.
it's like my biggest problem is I always like modern games too. I just always was, even from back when the retro stuff was modern. I just always kept up with the years going. I like that stuff, but I like everything in between and the modern stuff.
Yep.
That's where you don't see a return on your investment is when you buy new games, just because the price plummets right away. So I mean,
Yep.
it's something. If somebody wants to collect, it's probably maybe just get what you want, but wait for sales or whatever, or stay away from some of that stuff. Especially now, games like $70-$80 a piece. That's a lot, man.
Yeah.
I second guess a lot of games now because of the cost is so high. Especially when I could, maybe spend like just that $80 and I could get like a stack of games somewhere else, and have just as much fun playing some of them,
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
some of these older systems, yeah, you can get a lot of stuff cheap, and people will give you stuff too, cleaning out their closets and stuff, you be at work or whatever, they know that you collect. They'll be like, maybe their wife's cleaning something out and they know you're into it. They'll just ask you, hey, do you want any of this shit?
Yep.
And it's like, yeah, okay. And I've had so much stuff given to me, it's crazy,
Yeah, and this next exercise that we're going to be going into, some of this, we're going to be sharing some items with you just to kind of show you a few items that we've actually got a positive return on our investment on, but really kind of backtrack really quickly. What spawned this idea of actually covering this topic with you? I was going back through some of your older videos, and we did a collaboration earlier on in our YouTube careers where I had asked the community what drives you as a gamer, what got you into this. I know that was kind of a sensitive topic, but everybody has their story to tell, and your particular story, you actually were put into a situation due to your medical situation that you were in, where you actually had to sell off your collection a couple of times that you had mentioned, and that's another thing. If something was to, heaven forbid, happen where you needed cash fast, you could at least get a pretty decent amount of your investment back, and in some cases maybe even come out with a little bit more. But there's very few other hobbies where you get an opportunity to actually acquire some of your finances back. And if push comes to shove in this particular hobby, people, like I said, like to talk about the cost of how expensive it can be, the price of video game inflation, and the things of that nature that's been going on because of the current state of things. But yeah, that actually sparked the idea. I was like, you know what? That actually is a really good testament to our hobby and its versatility to each individual. If push comes to shove, you need cash fast, then you can do that. And like I said, there's not a lot of other hobbies that you can actually do that. So that kind of goes intuitive with the cost and money aspect of it. But we're going to be going over, like I said, some items that we've received positive financial gains from. If you want to start and go ahead and show us one of your items that you've purchased at a set price and actually is currently valued at more, so you've received a positive return so far.
So this one, this was at the end of the 2DS's life cycle, and I picked up this from Walmart. This Mario Kart 7.
Oh man,
the 2DS XL. This was $99.99. Man, this thing is easily tripled in value.
Wow.
I want to say this is like over $300 right now.
That's crazy.
And this is, I've never opened this, I bought it just because I have multiple ones, but I bought it because it was so cheap. And I know, like, especially Nintendo, at the end of their life cycle, that's the time to buy their games. You buy their games at that point because they don't make as many copies, especially when they have the next system out. That's the time to get stuff. And this was a home run, and like I said, I have other ones, so I don't need to open this. If I ever had to, I could sell this.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, that's a great one. I know out of most of, probably all of my collector friends, then you're the most person that I'm envious of, because you take so good care of your stuff. Like I'm so salty that my Zelda Master Edition is open because I wanted to see the statue, and I guarantee you yours is still sealed, isn't it? Yeah, man. Yeah. You're curious. The curiosity kills the cat whenever it comes to me, man. I'm like, no, it's my copy. I'm going to open it, but I'll live to regret it one day. Mark my word, especially with stuff like that. Man,
it's difficult. Yeah, that one was really hard for me. That was probably one of the hardest. But I knew that, like, I just had a feeling to keep that one sealed.
Yeah, it's Zelda, and I think
that's one of my highest valued items that I have.
Yeah.
And I wasn't able to get it when it came out. I didn't have it pre-ordered, and they didn't have any left over. So I actually ended up picking it up on eBay, like, within the, first couple months or whatever. And it wasn't cheap even then, I think I dumped like maybe 50 on it, something around that. And I mean, that thing is like rarely under 1,000. Like,
Yeah.
I've seen it over 2, and like, it took me a while to even get a plastic protector for that thing. I want to say it took me almost 2 years to find one, because if there was any, they were always sold out or just like unavailable.
Yep.
And that was probably just that plastic piece was probably $45-$50.
Wow. Yeah, whoever's rolling that plastic, man, he's making bank. I'm telling you.
Yeah, this was just one I added on with the 2DS XL, and this is another 2DS XXL. This is something I would never sell. This was a birthday gift to myself, and that was the Legend of Zelda one. This one I did open because I had to see it. But I mean, I haven't played on it. It's basically brand new.
Man, that box though.
Oh yeah. And I got plastic for this too. Like, I try to get that for certain stuff, but I need to get a lot more of it. But this is still one of my favorite items. I just awesome. And I know you got a lot of awesome 2DSs, 3DSs and stuff. The Zelda ones, like, there's so many of them. It's just like, I'd love to get all of them, but man, they are expensive.
they get up there, especially that one. I think that one is my favorite. Just like visually, then that one just stands out amongst the rest. It's not just a standard solid gold, kind of boring. Like that one stands out. I really like that one. I've yet to add that one to the collection, but I honestly haven't come across it. Because if I'm going to pull the trigger on it, I'm probably going to wait. And, because it's going to be expensive either way. So I'd probably just wait and get the box complete if I come across it. I
want to say that complete in box is over $600 right
insane
now. I think it's like 8 something, like new, which I mean technically mine's new. I've never played on it. I think I just opened it up, turned it on, I just put a screen protector on both screens and just put it back in the box.
You're like, that's cool, right back in the box you go.
Yeah, basically, I mean it is awesome, and I would probably never sell that. That's one of those items, because I mean I bought it for retail. I think it was like $159. I think it was like maybe $10 extra because it was a Zelda edition, but I mean still $160. So it's over, it's like 3 times the value almost of what I paid for it.
Yep. And that's what we're talking about, ladies and gents. We're talking about cost and money. And when we're looking at pen and paper, actual digits, then we stand to make out on this. It's not going to be very hard. I guarantee you they're going to be knocking down your doors. If you list that item for sale, it's not going to stay on that shelf for 24 hours. It's going to be gone. They're not making them anymore. And that's what we're trying to touch on, ladies and gents, the cost and money aspect of our hobby. This one actually I wanted to throw in as kind of a bonus because I picked it up actually today.
Nice.
You kind of play your cards right, and what have you done this long enough, certain tricks and tips that you can use to your advantage, one of which is GameStop's point system. So today I went into GameStop, and lo and behold, they're actually starting to, of late, carry more retro video games. So I've been playing a lot more original PlayStation. It's probably one of the least experienced that I'm in. I played it a little bit whenever I was younger, and it wasn't my console. My older brothers had it, and they had Resident Evil. I wasn't allowed to touch it, but that just made it seem that much cooler to me because it was that restricted, forbidden fruit that I just couldn't touch. You know what I mean? So in my later years, I got my own PlayStation so I can play my own games. But one of the mature-related game was Twisted Metal. So whenever I came across it today, I got Twisted Metal, $9.99. This is Twisted Metal 3 complete. And then we also got one that I'm not very familiar with. That is Bushido, the Bushido Blade. I'm not too familiar with it, but I looked it up. It's got all of the makings of a great platform-style 3D game. But I got both these for free.
Blade?
What's that?
Is it Bushido Blade?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, I remember it, yeah.
Yeah, I picked this one up. I picked both these up for free because I had 18,000 points plus my $5 coupon. Shout out to GameStop. You can say whatever you want about them. They have some pros to them. I know you're a contributor to the GameStop because you've worked your way into them quite well, and they've been good to you as well as me. I wouldn't have a lot of this stuff in my collection if it wasn't for them, going above and beyond and lending a hand. One of my Resident Evil Collector's Editions was 4 states away and sold out everywhere. I called my local one. He was like, yeah, man, there's one 3 states away. I can have it overnight and here tomorrow. And I was like, dude, I don't even know that. I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even have it like that with this guy. But the willingness of him to actually go above and beyond to help me out, those are, memories that'll last and that'll allow me to continue to give them my business. But yeah, I picked up both these. I used my points and my coupon. I got both these for free. Current value per price starting Twisted Metal around 25 to 27, and then Bushido Blade, if I said that right, this one's around $37, and again, both of those for free. So you got a wheel and deal. If you're thinking that you're spending too much on this hobby, maybe we do a little bit more research. Like even whenever I'm on eBay and I'm looking at an auction, I'll take time to go and see what the buy it now prices are before I wait, because people are paying $35 and you got still got 5 minutes on an auction whenever it's listed for 17, for cheaper. And I was like, why am I even fighting with you guys? I'll just go buy it now for less than what you guys are fighting over it for. So maybe you should kind of take a step back, get some self-evaluating to see, what you're spending. Are you doing it to the best of your ability? What else you got for us?
All right, let's see here. So this is probably one of the pricier ones here, but this is something that you don't pick up like every day. This is something that I kind of waited for a while and was looking for decent prices, and when I seen this price, I just jumped on it right away, and that's Zelda Oracle of Ages. I winded up buying both of these, but I bought this one sealed, and this thing was like immaculate condition. I mean, it was mint. So I unfortunately I winded up dropping it and putting a little teeny ding in the corner, which will kill me forever. But that was like, man, let me get a plastic. Yeah, I was like, let me get a plastic protector for this guy because I was out of them. So I got one right away for it. I mean, it's very small. I don't know if this camera will pick it up. It's like the littlest ding in the corner. But
oh, dude, that's huge. What are you talking about? Small? It's huge.
But stuff like that, it drives you crazy, especially when you did it,
Yeah.
But, regardless, I mean, this is, I think I paid like $250 for this, maybe a little bit less. And this thing's like, I don't ever see this thing like drop under 500.
Yep.
And a lot of the prices that you see like that are usually a little banged up the box. I mean, this thing's still like pretty mint.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's one of those things, like I said, I would never sell, but this isn't the kind of items I always buy. It's just like one of those ones I had to have it, and it was like, maybe I skipped out on other games to get it or whatever, or worked overtime or but it might have took me, a year, 2 years until I actually, finally said, yeah, this is the deal I was looking for, because a lot, I've watched the prices go up and down, and that's the thing, you got to be patient on some of this stuff.
Yeah, I know patience is key, but it's also something that I would like to get better at for sure.
Well, sometimes it can go against you though too,
Yeah, absolutely.
Too, where I slept on a couple games and I really regretted it,
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the ones that you think that aren't going to do very well are like just completely stupid expensive right now. I can list off a handful of those that you would never think that they would go for what they're going for now, and that just goes back to it and the direction that the community is going in, and everybody's talking about this, going digital only. That's just going to, aid us in the long run, and everything that we've been purchasing for the past decade is just going to increase tenfold. So if you want to really get into the cost and money aspect of our hobby, this investment's going to return in a very big way if it keeps on going the way it's trending right now. This next one was a Goodwill. I've all but given up on Goodwills, like time after time after time, of going and just getting handfuls of empty DVD cases with trash items there. Lo and behold, recently walked into my local Goodwill, and again, all but given up on them of late, and then something told me to just go ahead and give it one more try. I was actually in the parking lot, and then my wife said, hey, do you want to go ahead and stop in or pass? I said, no, we'll pass. And as I was driving past, I was like, nah, we'll stop in, we'll see what's going on here. So I walked in, and I had moved a stack of DVDs and came across a big stack of Nintendo GameCube games, and one of which was Skies of Arcadia Legends. And we picked this bad boy up for $299. If I still have a picture in my phone, I'll go ahead and share that. But $299 retails for around. Price starting right now $150. Complete in box. I also picked up a few other items while I was in there that I got on the cheap, but nothing. They all pale in comparison to Skies of Arcadia. I think it was like the two Magical Melody, Harvest Moon, and A Wonderful Life. I got those both for $299 each, and then one of the Spyros for $299. But yeah, that definitely re-sparked my belief that you can get good things and Goodwills, but it might take you several trips, to get them, because you just never know what you're going to come across. But yeah, Skies of Arcadia, I thought that was a really good one. My next one we got, this one's been in the collection since, man, it's been several years, but Resident Evil 4, all-time favorite RE game, just completely revolutionized the whole genre for me. But I picked this up off an eBay auction. Of course, it's the Resident Evil 4 chainsaw controller.
That's awesome.
The current price starting or sold listings for this item is $450. I initially got it for $80 off an eBay auction back in the day. Complete. And I love this thing. It's the worst controller you'll ever hold in your hand, but it's also the coolest freaking controller that you'll ever hold in your hand. But
that video you made with that was awesome, man.
Yeah, way back in the day.
That was killer, man.
Yeah, I think that was actually one of my very first handful of videos I came out with. So yeah, it's been quite a while that one's been up on the shelf, but definitely glad to have that one, because like I said, now that bad boy's going for $450 and up. Now I did a quick search on eBay this morning just to see what the local recent sales were on it. January 20th, they sold one for $450 with $20 shipping. So between $450, $500. Got it for $80. Still making out so far. Do you have any more items to share?
Yeah, I got a few here.
Sweet.
All right, so this one was a regular retail release, and this was the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild Explorer Edition. So I already had a couple copies of this game, when this came out. I want to say this was like a Black Friday kind of thing on the launch year. And I was like, it came with a little book inside, and I was like, man, that's pretty cool. I was like, I think it was the same exact price as the regular game. So I went ahead and I picked up two of these. One because I wanted to look at the book inside.
Yep.
And I think it came with a little map as well. But I bought two, so I have one that's open, and I have this one that's sealed. Because I did wind up, using the other game. My daughter would play it and stuff in one of my other Switches, but. Yeah, this one definitely went up as far as a new copy. It was like $60 at the time, and I'm not sure what this goes for now. Probably like $150 to $200.
Wow.
And just for a regular release, there's nothing different with the game. It's just the cardboard box, the little map in the book.
Yep.
And usually this is the kind of stuff to keep an eye out for, because this is the stuff that usually winds up going up in value.
Those variants, man. That was the last one that I needed for the Breath of the Wild collection. I had at that point gotten the Master Edition, the standard copy, and then that was the last thing I needed, was because the special edition that come with a big, colorful, beautiful box. I love that edition.
I do too.
That was the last one. What was that?
I always wish I don't have that one. I wish I would have picked it up. There was a guy selling that, and early on, but I already had a bunch of copies. I'm like, man, do I really need this? But,
6 copies of the same game.
Yeah, because I have a couple copies for Wii U. I have a sealed Wii U copy, an open Wii U copy. It's like, I'm like, how many copies of this game do I need? But I actually bought another copy recently, the Japanese version that has the DLC on the cartridge, as well as the game, from PlayAsia.
Yep, exactly. Another topic for another time, but I don't know. For me, I mean, I love Tears of the Kingdom, but I don't know. It didn't hit as hard as Breath of the Wild to me. I think Breath of the Wild holds such a special place in my heart. And I personally feel that there was enough characteristics that was different to make, Tears of the Kingdom a standalone. But then again, it wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Breath of the Wild. So I think Breath of the Wild, it still holds a higher regard than Tears of the Kingdom. Yeah. Both great games, but it didn't slap as hard as Breath of the Wild did because it was the first of its kind to introduce itself to the genre. But yeah, absolutely. Speaking of,
I know it was one of the first Switch games. I got the Switch day one with that game, and I was like, wow. I was like, man, when this catches on, and it will, because when I was able to undock the Switch and leave my house and play Zelda, man, I was mind blown. I was like, wow, when this catches on, the Switch is gonna be selling gangbusters, man. And look what it's done. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's moved mountains financially. Like the Switch has just been, they haven't changed it because they have a perfect formula. If you have a perfect formula and they're making more money than they ever have, you know what I mean? Why would you change that up? It just gives them a good and a bad regard because it's like now they have no incentive to move. Whereas the Nintendo Wii or Wii and Wii U, they were kind of they are what they are, but they moved on from those consoles relatively quickly because the finances just weren't there. But now they're setting up like fat cats. They're just why would we move? We love it here.
The only thing that will forever drive me crazy about Breath of the Wild is for the Wii U that they didn't put the map on the gamepad. And I know why they did it, because they didn't want to make the Switch version the lesser version. But man, that would have been an epic way to just send that system away.
Absolutely, yeah, I agree. I played Breath of the Wild on the Wii U first because I didn't have a Switch at the time. So my first experience and introduction to Breath of the Wild was on the actual Nintendo Wii U.
And it's not bad. It's the same game. It's just, maybe a little less popping on the Switch, but other than that, maybe a little higher definition in some spots, but it's the same exact thing,
Yeah, those prices are starting to go up too. I just came across the other day a copy of not Breath of the Wild, but Twilight Princess, and they wanted $100 for it. And I was like, wow, that game's actually going up in value.
It's a good game too.
Yeah. This next one on the topic of Legend of Zelda is, of course, what we had been talking about, the Master Edition. I got this through trade, through a buddy of mine. I got this for free. Actually, it was kind of funny how it worked out, but through trade, I had purchased some things from him because he was selling off. He was done with collecting. And then, because the woman he was with at the time, he told him, got in his ear and said, hey, stop being a nerd. It's like, so he started selling off everything. They broke up. He wanted his stuff back. He knew I wanted this, and I knew he wanted his stuff back. So I was like, hey, man, I got this fat stack of stuff that I bought from you here a while back. Now, at this point, I've been trying to bribe him and just do whatever I could to get this out of his hands. And I threw that the option on the table, and he's like, yeah, let's do it. Give me my collection back. I'll give you this. So I was like, all right, let's do it. So got this for free. Immaculate condition, complete. It is, of course, open. But needless to say, me getting it free. I did a search again this morning on eBay, recent selling on January 17th. One sold with shipping for $1,001.75. So talk about a positive return on your investment. The stuff that I purchased from him was relatively cheap. Because at that point he didn't care. He was just like, hey man, you want this? At one point he offered me Chibi Robo and what was it, Fire Emblem for $60 for both, which is just like insane. I mean, one of them is like $150 alone, but he didn't care. He was just like, hey man, I know you enjoy this stuff. Got the bro price, so got in
that's
on
a
it.
killer deal.
But you got any more items to share?
Yeah, man. Let's see here. So this is TurboGrafx 16 Mini. I think this thing was like $100. Man, this thing like tripled in value, man.
Wow.
This was put out. Let's see, I forget who did this. Konami put this out.
Yeah.
And this was only around for like a little while, man. And now it seems like, people just missed it and the price just skyrocketed on it. I never opened this one because I actually bought the European model because this was delayed a little bit and I wanted to play it. So I bought a European model and now is the one I have open or whatever. And, great system too. But yeah, I mean, this is one of those things I doubt they'll make another one of these because you don't see a lot of this stuff. And these games are expensive on here. Because I, not too long ago, got a TurboGrafx 16. And, I don't have a lot of games because they're just expensive,
Yep.
I probably eventually will get an EverDrive because I just got that Turbo Duo or whatever from Analog. And but this is awesome to just jump in and play a bunch of games that a lot of people miss because this was a awesome system, man. It really was. I had one when they were new and I loved it, but then they stopped putting out games and the system was gone,
Exactly. But that's kind of our topic on cost and money. If you are around long enough and have cost a large percent of your disposable income. If you do, I mean, there's several YouTubers that have done complete collections starting out for $1. It's just a lot more time to dedicate to collecting and making sure that you're purchasing them at a better price. But yeah, do you have anything else to touch on cost of money before we move on? Or you got more items?
I wanted to show this one because this is one of my favorites. This is one of my other, probably one of my next favorite games series besides Zelda, Xenoblade Chronicles.
I knew
this
it.
is one of the newer ones. Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Now, this was like really hard to get. You could only get it through Nintendo. And I think it was like $90 or something, maybe 95 shipped. And they actually shipped the game first. Like they sent a separate copy of the game, and then they sent this later. So I'm like, did I even get it? Like, what's going on?
What did I pay for?
Right, and this wound up coming later. But I was nervous because I have the, as for Switch, I have all of these big box, collector's editions or whatever, special edition. But I mean, these boxes are gorgeous, man. I mean, just the back of this is like metallic. Absolutely love this great game. All of these are great games, but it's like I have this one's already went up quite a bit. I feel like out of like the second one's pretty high too, and I got that one at retail, which was even cheaper than this, because of inflation. This went up a bit, but I mean, this thing's already probably triple the value, and it's sealed. I have no intentions to open this, I mean, I actually just pulled it out of the cardboard box it was shipped in.
Wow.
Because I don't have a plastic protector for it yet. I do for the other ones, but I want to get one for this and display it because it's an amazing franchise,
Yeah, that's one that I've yet to touch. I have the games. I have not played them just because of their high regard in the community. Everybody says that, you can't go wrong. It's a very, very well-made, fun game. So I'll be divulging into those myself. I did come across that exact one at my local game exchange, and I was actually shocked at the price of it because I believe it was several $100s, and I had no idea that particular variant or that collector's edition would be that high.
I had such a hard time getting that. I mean, they were sold out instantly, and I was on their site when it went live, and it just their site crashed, and then they felt bad. Nintendo put it up, another time. So I actually wasted a lot of time trying to get that. I actually wanted to get a second one, just to pick up for somebody, but by the time I tried to add it, they were gone already, And I was there again as soon as they went live. They just sold out like immediately both times, and that was that, because I didn't want to pay like triple the price off scalpers and stuff. I can't stand that.
No, yeah, they are a menace to our society, and they make our cost and money aspect go down. I've learned to just be patient, and a lot of the times it'll work out. But you get the term FOMO, fear of losing out. The thought of you'll never get this opportunity again. Sometimes that very well may be true. But
and that's one of those times,
Yeah, exactly. You never know, with the video game genre on which ones are going to be worth investing in. In the late, 2008 to 2010 or 13 era, the collector's editions were going insane. Like every game had a collector's edition with a huge statue, like every Assassin's Creed, including the first one. I went ham on those. So I went and got, as much of the collector's editions that I could for the ones that I was passionate about. It was a way that you could contribute a little bit more to invest into the franchises that you cared about. You get a little bit of a trinket, but it also allowed us as a consumer to contribute to Bethesda or whatever gaming people that made the game behind the scenes, give them a little bit more coin in their bucket. But yeah, in that era it seemed like everything had a collector's edition. Gears of War came out with this big collector's edition. Halo came out with their big legendary editions that they had for all of those. But yes, you just never know, because most of those, you didn't really receive a positive return on those. You can get, the Gears of War, I believe it's Epic Edition, for like $35 in the box whenever it retailed for like, whatever it was. But nowadays they're not so pronounced in the community, so they're kind of more few and far between. So they hold and maintain a higher value, whereas the older ones are kind of washed out because they just made so many of them out there. But yeah, you got any more items to share before we move on?
No, that's all I got.
All right, buddy. Well, that's the cost and money. I think we've kind of proven our point to the end that we have experienced on our sides. Again, we can't really contest to anybody else in their experiences, for that is their own experience to tell their tale on. This is just two guys' opinion. And thus far, with our collecting decisions, we stand to make a very good profit. So the cost of money aspect, if done correctly, is a non-issue for me. The next topic is family and time. It can be a very timely endeavor, going out looking for these things in the wild, and the cost of time can cost you time away from your family is one of the big arguments that people are saying about the retro game collecting addiction. I know I can't really contest because I don't have kids. You're definitely very much so a family man yourself. So what would you have to share about the topic of family and time?
Yeah, it's time consuming, going to get games, especially like me. I have, friends that work at GameStop. So it's like, I could easily burn 2 hours in there just talking about games, but I do try to take my kids with me and stuff and make it more like a family thing. I'll go to like retro stores and bring my kids, my family and stuff, so usually when I'm home, I burn most of my time just playing games, because I do play a lot of games. A lot of the games that I have, I burn through them. I'm somebody that finds time to play them. I get up real early all the time for work, so on the weekends I'll get up. If I'm off, I'll wake up at 4 o'clock and start playing games. If they wake up at 9 o'clock or whatever, I already have 5 hours in a game, and it's just 9 o'clock in the morning. So I burn through games. That's why I play like long RPGs, and just an 8-hour game I could have done like real fast.
Oh yeah. Definitely whenever we have like personal PMs or messaging each other. I'm like, hey man, I just got the new Spider-Man. You're like, yeah, I'm already just 100% in it. I've already put it in my shrink wrap. It's back on my shelf. I'm like, what the hell, Jeremy? Like, oh my god.
Yeah, so that's my biggest thing is new games that come out, because some of these games I've been waiting like 2-3 years to play them, so I don't want to wait anymore, and some of them I might not have time,
Yep.
I'll jump on the time, so maybe spending the money right away and paying full price sometimes benefits me because I'm not wasting my time later,
Yeah.
because my time is important. It's one of the most important things, and it goes fast,
Yeah. You got to get in, get out, get your gaming in, and get going, because you got your family, you got everything else going on in life, your career, all this stuff comes to a head. But yeah, it's very interesting. That's why I wanted to bring you on, because I know you have a different aspect than I do whenever it comes to some of these topics. The family and the time aspect on my side, I think that like you said, it can be quite time consuming, but also surrounding yourself and inviting others into your hobbies. So, like, for example, I know that me and my wife spent a lot more time together than we regularly would have if it wasn't for Mario Party. Mario Party is just one of those genres that we can't get away from. We get super competitive.
Playing it.
Yeah, and we've played through all of them. We actually, one of my pickups a couple days ago is, I didn't know this, but on Nintendo DS they actually had a Mario Party DS. I was like, what the crap? Okay, well, we're going on another adventure, So that could be something that you can invite your spouse or significant other into, and your hobby, into your world, because there's a whole genre and community surrounding this that are very warm and welcoming. No matter who you are or where you came from, we all have this common goal, and we just love it. But yeah, inviting your friends. I know whenever I was growing up, I was kind of a hermit for the most part. So I know I wouldn't have been more outgoing. I wouldn't have made as many friends. I wouldn't have had as many experiences as I would have if it wasn't for video games. Because I was the kid with the Nintendo GameCube. I was the kid with, the Nintendo 64. That brought opportunities for me to break myself out of my shell and have that interaction with other kids that thought these things were cool alongside me. I had something to talk to them about. And then on the family aspect, same can be said about my dad. My dad, he was very old school, very of this mindset. You live, you work, and you die, and that's all that you're given. He's very old school, so it was very difficult to connect with him, and he really liked old school military style stuff. So whenever I introduced him to Medal of Honor, the old school Call of Duties, I was able to interact with him in a way that I've never experienced before, and was able to play these tank games and stuff that he really thought was cool, and again experience an interaction with him that I couldn't get in any other way. So I think if used in the right context, you can utilize your family, you can utilize your time to your benefit, and I know that you have a huge lineup of sisters, right?
Yeah.
I remember you in your videos. You've shared some similar memories of you and your family interacting and in ways that brought you together with retro, back then modern video gaming.
Yeah, well, my brother, my sisters, all of us, my parents, we've been, I started gaming, God, I was probably like 3 and was playing Atari, and then playing Nintendo at like 6 or 5 or 6 or what, and then just as the systems came out, we just kept getting them, It was basically, I think my parents liked them too. I think they just, they wanted to watch, because, but they would play with us too.
Yeah, just kind of chime in. And that kind of goes intuitive with that particular topic. But I hold that those memories on such high regard, and I think to myself every once in a while, because of the nostalgia's sake, that's what shaped young Chill Scissors back in the day of how I collect, what I choose to collect, and things of that nature. But again, people have this negative connotation around retro game collecting that's being publicized in a way that's very negative. For me, it's been nothing but positive. Whenever I think of, family time back in the day, it did nothing but open doors for me to have an interaction with individuals unlike any other that I could do or produce myself. Those are some memories that'll hold near and dear to my heart. Having those gaming sections or plays with my dad and stuff like that, and it's again just a testament to the topic itself. And I just don't see it in the same light as it's being portrayed currently. I could totally see, if you're an individual that completely pushes your family away and, that's all you do and you let it consume you, I'm not touching on that. That's obviously an issue within itself. But for me, I can, again, just speak to my personal experience on the topic of family and time, and it's only been a positive aspect on me and my life and my situation.
Yeah, mine too. I mean, there's some of the things I even cherish from now. Like, my daughter, she is into a lot of the games that I play. She'll just come watch me play.
Yeah.
Me and her just both played through Avatar. She played on PC and I played on PS5. But she will watch me play and we talk about it. It's like stuff like that, man. It's priceless.
Is Avatar good?
Oh yeah, I had a good time with it, man. It looks amazing, and I had a good time with it. I mean, some of it's a little repetitive, but it just it's fun, man.
Yeah. You heard it here, folks. Avatar. Go pick it up near you. I know that one's another hot topic. You either hate it or you love it. Just one of those games that's getting kind of one of those reputations.
Yeah, that one I think was definitely worth jumping into.
Yeah, I have to check that one out. All right, ladies and gents, we'll go ahead and move over to topic number 3. Good and bad collecting habits. We both compiled a couple good and bad habits to kind of steer away from or gravitate towards. We'll start with the good. One of my good tips for that I've found for collecting has been buy with a purpose and be intentional. You don't want to kind of go into a situation where you're buying just for the sake of buying. We've seen that a lot. That is, something that could be very detrimental to your collection. You get a lot of stuff and you don't know what to do with it because you don't have a purpose for it. So I have a set of 3 a philosophy that I try to use for good collecting habits. Number 1, can I afford it? Question number 2, I ask myself before I buy something, what is its purpose? Am I buying it because it's nostalgic? Am I buying it because I want to play it? Am I buying it because I want to display it? And then the last thing on my list before I purchase anything is, do I have room for it? And you'll find within these 3 contexts that they work in tandem. For example, I can afford it. I have a purpose for purchasing this, but if I don't have room for it, I'm not going to buy it because I don't have a place to store it. Same thing could be said for in reverse. Do I have room for it? Yeah, I got plenty of space on my shelf. What's the purpose? I want to play this game. It looks like a lot of fun, but I can't afford it. I'm not going to buy it. So sticking to those three topics before you purchase something can allow you to get your collection dialed in to what you want it to be, because it can get really crazy really quickly. So can I afford it? What is the purpose of the purchase? And do I have room for it? If one of those is a no, don't buy it unless you can make room, or you can afford it at a later date, or if you have a better purpose at another time. So I think that's been a success on my perspective of a good collecting habit. Because if you're gonna go into this thing nilly-dilly, you'll kind of just buy everything, and then your room there's just no rhyme or reason. It's chaos, stuff thrown on the floor and in corners and stuff like that. What would be a good collecting habit for you?
Well, I mean, you nailed it. I mean, yeah, if you don't have room, you always got to take that into consideration. That's something I always take into consideration, because I'm pretty close to being maxed out. I mean, and like you said, about go with a purpose. I mean, and I think everybody starts off just buying stuff. I mean, and I understand it because I do too. I still will. If I see games that are like in excellent condition and they're $1, I'm not going to leave them there, because I could just sell them at a later date, and I have, a bunch of stuff like that. I mean, but mostly I go in with intentions of specific things that I like and want to buy. But I know you have, beautiful rooms with all your, stuff, your collection, the statues. They're amazing, man. I'd love to have them. I just don't have the room to store them, and I don't want to have them trickle out into the rest of my house, because there's other people here than me, so it's like, I just don't have the room for them. I would love to have them, but they're too big, that's why I never collected pop figures. The amiibo is one of the things I kind of regretted picking up, but I do like them, they're cool. And so, but those, I hang them on the walls and stuff, but the pop figures, they get out. I see people collect them; they're out of control. But and was it Andy from Pac-Man Case? He brought that up as 3 stages of collecting, and he said he's in stage 3 now. And what he said, he was dead on. You start out and you just pick up everything, and then you get to another stage where you just start picking up what you want. And then in the third phase, you start to get rid of some of that bulk stuff that you don't really care about, and get rid of to make room or to buy better stuff, And, that's kind of where I'm at now. I'm just getting select things, Plus, I don't have the time like I did, before, where I was able to do more game hunting. Lately, it's been pretty, limited. Plus, it's getting harder to find games as far as, certain places. A lot of stuff's going online, and some of these places have less collections of games they're selling. I mean, let's face it, we have more games than these game stores.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. Like, I set up a lot of my space kind of like our retail store would, because I love the case art. I want to be able to enjoy it and stuff like that. So like a lot of my walls and my space is actually set up like a retail setting, because that's how I experienced it as a kid. I thought it looked so cool, being able to, kind of walk into a game room or a game store. And to a kid, it's so much of a different experience, because you're not just looking at these, cases up on a shelf. Like I said in my recent video, those are adventures, that's stories and laughs. Those are memories. Those cases was so different as a kid whenever you're looking up at this game that's behind a panel of glass, and that's the level of nostalgia I try to keep alive. As in my later years, it's getting more difficult to keep that nostalgia level alive. That's why I've really appreciated the VR, because it takes a lot of the imagination work out of it and kind of puts you in the environment, into the action. So I've been playing a lot of PSVR 2 and just VR in general. But as a kid, you view those things so differently. But yeah, really good tips there to try to keep in mind. Try to keep those good collecting habits going before it gets out of control to a point or you actually have an issue with
and
room
become a
or
hoarder.
finances or the purpose behind why you have all of this stuff to begin with.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, you don't want to get to a point where you start thinking you are a hoarder. That's when
yeah,
you maybe you are, you know.
yeah, exactly.
When the clutter is just becomes clutter and it's not even organized. I mean, just I see right behind you, man. It looks awesome. It does look like a store. I mean, and all that stuff does catch your eye. You know, that's why
Yep.
like I surround myself with it because it looks cool. You know, the box art is awesome. You
Yeah.
know,
And I take this thing. I will say that I take this the collection that I've acquired over, decades of collecting. I've lost my entire collection. I know that you have gone through similar incidences twice in my collecting career, where there were certain life situations arose, and I just lost everything. Um, but I look at this stuff every day, and I don't view it as the same light. I realized that here recently. I say recently, but here a while back, I made a video on it. But my nephew came over to visit, um, and he's a young tyke, and at this point, he lives out in the middle of nowhere and doesn't get to experience or get out very often and stuff like that. But he loves video games. He doesn't get to play them. However, he loves to watch them and gets on YouTube, watch Let's Plays and stuff like that, and he just gets excited about other people playing it. So it was a treat to get him to come over, and I wanted to encapsulate that moment whenever he walked into my game room, and I did a really good. I really took the opportunity to seize that moment whenever he walked in, and just to see his face just light up and his jaw hit the floor. He was just completely floored.
oh, he loved it. You had a video of it, right?
Yeah, yeah, his
Yeah,
live
it
reaction
was
to
awesome.
walking
Yeah,
in my
yeah.
game room, and that just kind of it just my heart grew 2 times that day, I'll say. Because I know, me being his age, walking into an environment like this, what
It's amazing.
we've acquired and grown over the years, our 10-year-old, 8-year-old selves would just be completely in awe, in the
Yeah,
situation. And we kind of take it for
absolutely.
granted, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we see this stuff every day, and we don't take the time to actually take a step back and appreciate it the way that our younger selves totally would.
Oh yeah, yeah. My kids' friends, they just and any one of them that you know comes down into my basement and sees the collection, they're just blown away. Like they just don't. It's like an overload. They just think you're rich, or you know. It's like
Yeah.
no, man, I'm not rich. It's like this is you know this has been many years. You know this. You don't acquire you know bigger collections you know right away. It takes years to get this stuff. I mean, just the time involved and just even the getting it, purchasing it, you know, searching retro game stores, whatever. I mean, does take time, you know,
Yep.
especially if you want to have something that's really crafted to your taste.
Yeah, exactly. On the back side of this thing, we also have a list or a couple of guys' opinions of some bad habits. Uh, Lord knows that there's tons of bad habits that you can get whenever you get into retro game collecting, or just collecting in general. It doesn't even have to be, video games, just the collecting scene. But one of mine that I've concocted was one of our bad habits would be buying for the sake of buying. We're all guilty of it. A sale happens and stuff like that. That could be, uh, a situation that would open itself to buying without a purpose, because, yeah, there is a purpose of you buying it because it's on sale, but, did you really need it, or is this something that you were just purchasing because it was on a good price? So have that intentional purpose behind what you're buying. If you intend on playing it, are you buying it because it is a good, a rule one? Is it something that you can afford that will get a positive return on your investment for? If you intend on keeping it sealed and just letting it acquire financially, something like that, is it an investment? But for buying for just the sake of buying, for example, if you're kind of out in a flea market and you find a 1989 Luigi McDonald's toy, you know what I mean? Something like that. You don't need it. Like yeah, you can afford it, but you're buying it for the sake of buying it because it's not really something that that has a monetary value. You can purchase it because you have a purpose of displaying it or something like that. That's fine, but it's a really slippery slope. But that would be one bad habit that I would like to point out. What you got for us?
Yeah, and if you're picking up used games, people have bad habits, like you said, just picking up anything. Definitely don't pick up stuff that's in bad condition. I mean, that's something to stay away from. That's a bad habit that I think that a lot of people have.
Ooh, that's a good
They'll
one.
pick up games that are all scratched up, the cases just all snapped, or generic cases, or maybe some of the artwork looks like a coffee was spilled on it. I mean, try to stay away from stuff like that unless it's like so cheap they're practically giving it to you. But
Yep.
there's people that do pick up that stuff. It's like, do you really want to put that in your system either? I try to, I clean everything after I get it. I mean, it gets washed crazily.
Yep.
And that's one of the downsides of collecting is the work you got to put into maintaining it. But that's a different topic.
For sure. I agree. That's a whole other topic for another video. And it's funny that you say that because I'm sure everybody does, but I call it processing, but I have a stack whenever I purchase, my new purchases, I put them on a stack. Yeah. And then I have my rubbing alcohol, my cleaning solutions, all my Goo Gone, all that fun stuff. And I just like run it through the ringer, and it comes out the other side, goes into another stack, and then it's ready to be displayed. Then I'll take it, put it up on display wherever it is, and that's where it'll sit until, I get around to doing whatever I want to do with it. But it's funny to think about the processing side of the hobby, because it's something you never hear about. No, but it's certainly one of the more time-consuming things that is this hobby for sure.
Especially cleaning and processing. Buying new stuff, getting stickers off, because you don't want to buy games that are all beat up like that. Because one, you got to try to clean them. You might have to try to replace a manual artwork, and that stuff's not easy to find all the time. You might be sitting on stuff for a while before you ever come across an empty case or just whatever the artwork for that game or a manual. Or even if it's just the disc that's in good condition, sometimes it takes a while,
Yeah, that's an incredibly good aspect. I really thank you for bringing that up, because that is so true. Because like you said, time is very, very detrimental and important. So like the less time you have to spend to get this thing to be displayable and put into or deemed worthy enough to be put onto your shelf, you could be set. And I learned a really invaluable lesson recently, because I had purchased some Nintendo GameCube games that were missing the case art. And I've off of the whim, I wasn't in a position where I could kind of debate the purchase. So I went ahead and purchased it, and it took me forever because they were all loose GameCube games. And right now we're going for a complete inbox black label North America GameCube collection. So I was like, man, this is a good opportunity. I don't have any of these games. I'll just pick up the cases on the cheap. Cases are more expensive than the games themselves, I come to realize. Like, why would I purchase just a case and case art whenever I can get a CIB for less than just a case and case art? It just doesn't make sense. So that was you live and learn, and it's just one of those things that'll come with experience. For our first topic for cost and money, but yeah, definitely the less time and effort that you have to spend getting that to the condition that you want it in, definitely will save you in the long run. Because sometimes in that situation, there was a complete bust. I can't resell them because they're loose. I'm not going to get what I purchased them for. I can't buy the case and case art for them because that's more than what they're worth. So I'm kind of in a loss in that regard. So definitely one to take into consideration as a bad habit. Make sure you're getting the right condition before you pull the trigger on it. Really good stuff. Well, that's our 3 topics. We covered the cost and money. We touched on our family and time, and rule number 3, good and bad habits to have. But Jeremy, thank you so much for tuning in with us. We'll have to do more of this in the future. If you guys like the video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Head on over to Wartrain Wins. Check out his channel. He's an incredible contribution to the gaming community. He has tons of content over there, a wealth of knowledge. So if you haven't done so, do yourself a favor, go subscribe to his channel, check out all of his stuff, comment on his videos, let him know that we sent you over there. But until then, we'll catch you on the next video. Later, dudes. Peace.
Later, guys.